George Washington, the man who led a revolution and defined the American presidency, was not only a leader in politics and war, but also a symbol of dignity and elegance. His wardrobe reflected his vision for the new American identity: strong, refined, and modest. Today, we'll dive into Washington's distinct style and explore how his attire was a testament to his principles, leadership, and patriotism. Born into a Virginia planter family in 1732, Washington first entered the public sphere as a young military officer in the British colonial forces. His early uniforms were modeled on British military style, featuring red coats and elaborate trimmings. These uniforms projected authority and allegiance to the British crown, as Washington saw his early service as a pathway to distinction. Washington's military uniforms in his early career were meticulously crafted, featuring gilt buttons, polished boots, and epaulets to signify rank. However, while he embraced the British style, he would later adapt his look to reflect his role as a revolutionary leader, marking a shift from colonial servant to American hero. When he became the commander of the Continental Army during the Revolutionary War, Washington adopted a new uniform, one that would symbolize American resolve and dignity. He chose a dark blue coat with buff facings, colors that became iconic for the Continental Army. This color choice set American forces apart from the British red and served as a symbol of their emerging national identity. Washington's uniform was practical yet dignified, balancing functionality on the battlefield with the prestige required of a leader. The blue coat with gold epaulets and tricorn hat became iconic, symbolizing strength, discipline, and unity. His uniform was designed to show that American forces, though young and outmatched, could hold their own with discipline and valor. Beyond the battlefield, Washington's style as a civilian was refined yet modest. As a Virginian planter, he wore the fashion of an 18th century gentleman: wool coats, silk waistcoats, and knee-length breeches. His clothing was tailored, yet understated, reflecting his ideals of self-discipline and republicanism, qualities he believed would shape the new nation. Washington's civilian wardrobe emphasized his role as a landowner and a leader of the people. He was particularly meticulous about his appearance at public gatherings, but his clothing was never ostentatious. He chose fine fabrics, but avoided excessive ornamentation, signaling that he was a man of the people, rather than an aristocrat above them. When Washington took office as the first president of the United States, he was conscious of the example he was setting for future leaders. He developed a style that was both dignified and approachable, often seen in finely tailored yet simple suits. This attire helped establish the tradition of presidents dressing in civilian clothes rather than military uniforms, reinforcing the notion of a civilian-led government. For his inauguration, Washington wore a specially commissioned brown suit made from American broadcloth, symbolizing his commitment to American industry. Brown was an unusual choice, as black was typically worn for formal occasions, but Washington wanted to highlight his belief in the country's self sufficiency. His choice of American made fabric showed his dedication to the economic independence of the young nation. Washington's accessories were simple yet meaningful. He often carried a walking stick, which had practical use but also signified his authority and status. His spectacles, which he famously donned during his resignation speech to show humility, were another iconic accessory. They reflected his dedication to service and his willingness to sacrifice for the greater good, a moment that deeply moved those around him. For ceremonial occasions, Washington wore a ceremonial sword, a symbol of his military service and a reminder of his dedication to the country's independence. His sword was not a symbol of aggression, but of honor and duty, aligning with his vision of American strength, tempered with restraint. Washington's style left a lasting impact on American fashion, embodying the values of discipline, modesty, and unity. His wardrobe set a precedent for future presidents to dress with the dignity befitting a leader without excessive adornment. This tradition continues today, with American political and military leaders often favoring subdued, respectful attire. Washington's approach to style emphasized that clothing could convey character. His fashion legacy is a reminder that great leadership is not only about what you achieve, but also how you present yourself to the world. George Washington's style was no accident. Every choice, from his Continental Army uniform to his presidential attire, reflected his dedication to the ideals of the American Revolution. Washington's legacy is more than his political achievements. It's the example he set for leadership, embodied in every stitch, color, and accessory